Hello, and welcome to another episode of Be a Leader podcast, where we talk about current events in sports, military, and business through the lens of leadership. And we're going to talk about that gold medal game of USA Hockey versus Canada that just happened this past Sunday. What a crazy game. It did end 2-1, but so much happened in the game, and we're just going to talk about a few key things that really focuses on leadership. There's so much more to this game. I think back specifically with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes had a high stick penalty at the end of regulation. There was like a minute and a half left to go. It was tied 1-1. He hits this high stick. He goes to the penalty box, which means the United States has one less player on the ice against Canada. Okay. This was a tough moment. He's quoted saying, "I'm the guy America hates if Canada loses." And Team USA held on. It went into overtime. The overtime was fascinating. And then Jack Hughes, the very one who makes that penalty, is able to win the game with his score at the end of the game to win 2-1. So it was a crazy event. I love the overtime 3-on-3. It reminds me more of basketball. It's more about spacing. It could have gone either way, and both sides had opportunities, but Jack was the one to make that goal there at the end. And it was a great moment. 46 years to the day of when the miracle happened in Lake Placid. This was not a miracle. These are professionals on both sides, but it was a spectacular event, and we can learn from this. And I just want to remind you of my framework, my IBR framework, identity, behavior, results. And it comes back to this. It comes back to what their identity was. Most people think that talent is what wins championships, but it starts with the identity. Everything revolves around the identity, because then they step into those behaviors that can lead to the results that they're wanting, right? In this case, winning a gold medal. Believing they could do it. 46 years since they won a gold medal, right? Team Canada has been doing very well in these last year, 10, 15, 16 years, right? So it's amazing what identity does. And Team USA had a clear identity. We'll talk about it later. Right. Team Canada had a lot of talent, but was missing some areas. The team cohesion. We'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to reintroduce that framework of identity, behavior, and results. So let's go into the first reason why. The first big takeaway, leadership-wise, that we can look at this game of Team USA versus Canada for the gold medal in the Olympics goes back to identity. I started on it, and I'll continue on it. Identity sets the standard. Okay, Mike Sullivan is quoted telling the team, "Hey, there's only been a few dozen Americans who have ever won a gold in USA Hockey. And this team is the team that can do it again. Anything less than a gold would be a disappointment," he told them. First, it's like, well, hold on, man. That's a lot of pressure. He's not trying to put pressure on them. He was trying to invite them to step into this identity of, we are a gold medal team. We can win the gold medal because that's how we're going to prepare. That's how we're going to play. That's how we're going to communicate. That's how we're going to hold ourselves to it. Right? It was not an invitation to try. It was an invitation to step into that person and what those people would do. It's just like in the Marine Corps. We make Marines. And then when they go into the fleet, we're not like, oh, we're going to try to be a Marine today. So we step into that identity. We are Marines. We step in that identity every single day. It's who we are. That's how we behave. And here was the same thing. He wasn't telling them, oh, try to win a medal, try to be gold. It was an invitation through those challenging words. What would you do? How would you play if you believed you were going to win the gold medal? That's the identity. Those are the standards. Those are the behaviors you take. And that was what Team USA did in this tournament. Let's move on to the second one. Okay. Regulated leadership. We're going to talk about the goalie. Okay. Connor Hellebuyck. He was an amazing player. Okay. Goalies are tough, right? It's one of those like offensive linemen in the NFL. If something goes wrong, they look at him. If nothing goes wrong, they don't pay a lot of attention. Fortunately, in the culture of hockey, there is a lot of respect for goalies. And he deserves it, very much so. He had 41 saves in this final game against Canada. Canada put a lot of pressure. They have a lot of talent and a lot of shots on goal. There was those penalties that happened, I believe, was in the first period and the third period. There was a lot that was happening. Okay. I like this story, though. There was a story that he fell on the bus before the Swedish game. And it reminds me of my time in the Marine Corps. I think one of the big differences from my experiences coaching and playing basketball and being in the Marine Corps was, I see it with players I coach all the time, right? They're always listening to music. They're trying to get in the zone. It's like they do all these little things to prepare for the game, what they eat, what type of fluids they take, their warm-ups, the music they listen to. It's like all in order, their warm-up shots. In the Marine Corps, what do we do before we're on a mission? If you're ground, because a lot of times we're on foot. But if we are in the transportation, whether a sea-going vessel, a ground-going vessel, or air, we do air. It's always the same thing. You might chit-chat for a little bit, and then next thing you know, everyone's passed out. Everyone's asleep, trying to balance their Kevlar on their head in a certain way, depending if you have a night vision goggles. And depending on how close your weapon is, the butt of your weapon to your chin, and all the ammo and everything that you're carrying, everyone passes out. It's that moment of relaxation. It's like saving energy before whatever's going to happen next. Because once those hatches open and it's time to move, it is a light switch. You're going from 0 to 100. And you got to be ready for anything that happens. And in the military, like, you need that calminess. It gives you some grounding because anxiousness isn't going to help. But in sports, you see it all the time. They're constantly doing stuff. So the fact that he was relaxed enough to take a nap on the bus before that big game is very telling of how he was very composed, how he was very, like, not panicked. There's no panic there. Because later, not only did he save the team from pucks going to the goal, but he was saving the team from panic. Because he was level-headed. He was calm. Okay? And his teammates said, we like this guy. We can trust this guy. He has our back. He'll help us in these moments. How special it was. In the Marine Corps, the loud person isn't the most effective leader. It's who is regulated, who is composed, who is consistent, who do we have trust in when things get really hard. Those are the leaders that are most effective. Those are the leaders that we try to build. Those are the leaders that I try to build. Anyways, Connor Hellebuyck, amazing display of leadership and talent and ability here at the Olympics. You are a gold medal winner. All right, let's move on to the third one. And the third one is the ability to move on to the next one. We talked about Jack Hughes. We'll talk about him again. He hit that high stick. He made that penalty. He almost gave away the medal, the gold medal, to Canada. He literally set his team up for failure by making that mistake towards the end of regulation, tied 1-1. Then Team USA as a team held it together, withheld Canada from scoring, and here they go into overtime. And there's two clear options that I think of that Jack could have responded to. He could have been really tight. I can't make another mistake. I got to keep my stick down. I got to be careful. I can't make any more mistakes. Or he could have been, I'm going all out. I'm going free. There's nothing to lose here. I'm not holding back. The ability to not hold back is so powerful. Learning this skill will change your life. So we'll talk about my program later for those that need help on it, but learning to not hold back is very liberating, and it lets you use your gifts. And Jack Hughes made the decision not to hold back, to let loose and go all out. And he scored less than 2 minutes in overtime. He was able to win that golden goal, to win the gold medal for Team USA. An effective leader, a leader is not someone who doesn't make mistakes. Okay, you got to throw that perfectionism out the window. A leader isn't a person who doesn't make mistakes. A leader is someone who can move on quickly from mistakes and keep going. Okay? Who's the one to recover the fastest? In the Marine Corps, there's so much chaos. You make your plan, everything, almost not everything, but it feels like everything goes out the window once you start in contact. Communications could go down. Maybe an aircraft, their pod goes down. Maybe the aircraft is unavailable. Maybe they run out of gas, right? Maybe something goes down with your ammo. Maybe your machine gun jams. Maybe you finally get in that location and then you realize you don't have the visibility that you thought you had. There's so many things that can happen. And you can't freeze. You got to move on. You got to move on. You got to move on. That's the important thing that leaders have to do. I tell this to my basketball players all the time, especially college basketball players. Sometimes you have these they judge themselves on whether they make or miss the shot. And I tell them, you can't control whether the shot goes in and out. You do all your preparation before the games. And in the games, you make good decision making on the shots you take. But the moment it lets go of your hand, you got to be ready for the next thing, which rebound and then the defense. You have to assume you got to go for that rebound or play defense. You can't go on for several possessions later being like, oh, I should have taken that shot, or I missed that shot, or I made that turnover, because that's going to impact how you play. You have to move on to the next one. And here Jack Hughes did an excellent demonstration for us, making a big mistake at a critical moment, at the most critical moment of the game. And his ability to sit out in that penalty box and then come straight back out and not hold back at all. That's something that we can all learn from. Okay? Elite performers recover quicker than anyone else. And that's what Jack Hughes did in that moment. All right. The fourth one is about cohesion. Team USA and Team Canada have a lot of talent. The way I look at it is I see a team that's a little bit more fractured with Team Canada. I know Sidney Crosby was hurt. He's a very good player, but it seemed like there just wasn't as much unity in that game. Whereas Team USA looked like they had a lot of purpose. We see at the end of the game, they're holding the jersey of their fallen comrade, Gaudreau. I don't know if I say that correctly because I'm not very good with those words. But they're holding up the jersey as their fallen teammate who died in a car accident about a year and a half ago. They had purpose in everything that they were trying to do. They felt like they were doing something greater for themselves. They were remembering the legacy of the team in the 1980, 46 years ago. There just seemed to be so much more purpose. They also wanted to get back at Team Canada, who beat them recently, right, in that League of Four, the games of four that they lost to. There was a lot of purpose. And yes, when I look at the overtime, both teams had chances to win. Both of them had shots on goal. That 3-on-3 was so exciting. I don't know, I kind of wish there was real 3-on-3 hockey. I think a lot of people would get into that. But they both had opportunities. But I think that unit cohesion gave that extra little ability for Team USA to keep pushing through in the midst of their mistakes. There seemed to be much more joy on the side of Team USA than there was on Canada, in my opinion, the way I saw it. And that's very powerful. That's very powerful. So that's the fourth point that I want to talk about. And that leads us to our key takeaways for this one. Straight into the point of this episode. First one, standards create clarity, not pressure. The ability to step into what does a gold medal team look like, practice, play, that's very powerful. Okay? It was not designed to create pressure. It was designed to create clarity. This is who we have to be. This is how we have to play. All right? That's what those standards are for. The second one, regulated leadership stops panic. The goaltender, how he was so calm. He defended attack after attack after attack, entering games without a feeling of panic. So the game, it was just a continuation. It was a continuation of the identity that he had, the preparation he had. He went into the game and continued that way. He didn't have to make adjustments. He continued to be who he was. And it's so powerful, that regulated leadership. I ask you, where are areas where you're showing much more panic than regulation in your leadership? Adjust that. Adjust that. Third one, recovery speed beats perfection. Okay, again, leadership is not about being perfect. We're going to make mistakes. That's not the point. Okay, we prepare as much as possible. We try to do our best. We might make some mistakes. We learn from it and we move on. We can't dwell on it forever. It's just going to hold us back. Jack Hughes could have let that hold him back. Who knows what would have happened after that? Okay? We have to be able to move on, recover, learn, and go. And the fourth one, cohesion beats talent. Okay, talent, yes, we see it all the time in sports. It's so important. And yes, talent wins many times. But cohesion, especially when things are even, can be that extra thing that gets you over. The cohesion is so important. When there's a purpose, when there's alignment, when there's good leadership, regulated leadership. Okay, cohesion is so important. Those are the four main takeaways I draw from this game that we talked about. And yes, I keep thinking about that comeback from Jack Hughes because it is a remarkable story. Missing teeth and all, right? He lost that teeth during the game because he got slapped and he just kept going. Reminds me of those times in the Marine Corps, you just get hurt, things happen, and you just got to keep going. There are no timeouts. You got to keep going. And he kept going. You could say, man, what confidence this guy has. Well, I tell you, if you don't feel like you have the identity and the confidence that you crave to do the things that you want to do, I invite you to my Confident Leader Bootcamp. I start here in a few days. It's the first week of March. I don't do this very often, 2 times a year. It's an opportunity to help you build your identity into something powerful. Build your behaviors to live out that identity so that you can finally achieve the results that you have been looking for. I guarantee it. Take a look at my website. On all the notes are on there, and I invite you to that. But again, I want to celebrate this moment. Team USA, congratulations on winning the gold medal. It's a great moment for national pride to enjoy this moment. There's a lot of lessons learned. I appreciate you watching this video. I encourage you to share it to someone else who's either a hockey fan or needs to learn more about leadership. We all need reminders. We all need someone in our lives to help us, to remind us of things that are important to us. And in this podcast, we talk about leadership because we all can be a self-leader. And as always, thank you again for watching, whether you're leading yourself, leading others, or leading leaders. Be a leader. My name is Daniel Pinedo, and until next time.